Amphibia is a show which gets a lot of things right, but its biggest mistake seen throughout the show is basically all of season 3, or at least the first half. The third season, it had so much potential, but it failed miserably, and no matter how great the finale was, the season still left a bad taste in my mouth. Amphibia is a show about a girl trapped in a world of frogs. And in season 3, the frogs are trapped in the human world. The concept is interesting enough, but it feels out of place in this show. So much of Amphibia's greatness is everything about the frog world. Each week, we would explore that world and see how its characters interact with that strange world, and it would provide for a lot of good episodes. But in season 3, the whole basis of the show gets removed because there's no frog world. We don't have a frog world or characters for it to explore because they're in Los Angeles. Although we got some good episodes in the human world, most could have just been episodes of Big City Greens, and I wouldn't have been able to tell the difference. By taking everyone out of Amphibia, it feels like a different show, which is aided by the fact that none of the stakes from True Colors actually remained. I heavily disliked how we basically forgot all that went out on throughout the second season, and it just felt inappropriate because it went to Hot Pop being an actor. It felt tone deaf, and if you're binging the show, it doesn't feel right to go to Marcy getting stabbed and then have frogs run around the grocery store. And it's even worse after you see Things to Them from the Owl House, which is an amazing episode. They both end their second season in the exact same way, but the execution of the two season threes couldn't be any more different. In the Owl House, you feel the consequences of the previous season finale, and it provides for the stakes to continue on, even if the situations aren't as intense. Just the emotional trauma of the season finale would be enough to make us feel like the stakes are being continued, but that's just not something we have in Amphibia, and it's so disappointing. But when the previous season is hardly even acknowledged, which we have, the story just feels disjointed and like something's missing. Another big flaw with this season of Amphibia are Anne's parents. While Anne reuniting with her parents was amazing, after that, I could care less about their existence. They don't improve the story, they don't downgrade it that much. I could care less if they were there or not. The voice performances just seem dry, especially for how expressive other characters' vocal performances have been in the seasons. When they talk, there is virtually no change between when they're happy, they're mad, or they're sad. But, I mean, why would they even need to emote when they hardly have any other emotional moments? They lost their daughter for half a year, yet after they reunite, there's hardly no reactions, no repercussions, and it feels weird. Amphibia's Nori is so good at knowing when to hit emotional beats, but throughout this season, there were so many chances they could have gone for one, or they could have just gotten rid of the filler episode and made room for emotion, but that emotion wasn't there. The reason we cared about Anne returning home to the human world is so she could reunite with her parents, but when she gets the opportunity to come home and reunite, we get next to nothing, and that's so disappointing. We meet a bunch of other human characters, and although they were nice, once again, they don't fit into the show, though this time it makes sense as to why. In the world of Amphibia, everything is turned to the extreme. It's like a thriller. When characters are put under pressure, they're forced to make hard decisions, and in Amphibia, that pressure is constant. A good example of this was in True Colors, where we saw Sasha's desire to be a leader, we saw Marcy's desire to hold the friendship together at all costs, and Anne's ability to help others. So when we return to the human world, all of the new characters feel more dull because, well, they're not being attacked by giant bugs all the time. I was originally very mad because Mr. X didn't reach his comedic potential, which he could have been super funny, but he's a human on Earth, so it makes sense. And for our main characters, you can feel it with them as well. Every once in a while this season, they will have a run in with robots or the law, but for the most part, the story feels toned down, and the concepts, as well as the characters, can feel pretty boring at times. It keeps the consistency of the show, where human world left less potent, but at the same time, it shows the flaws in the season's concept and of having everyone in the human world. I understand that the humans world story is necessary because for the invasion with Andreas, we need to know characters on Earth. One, so we have stakes, but two, to help the fight. But the execution is done so poorly where removing the human world story might have honestly been better. Also, I have heard people say the second half of Amphibia season 3 that it was boring, but for the most part, I disagree. I loved seeing everything like the oppression under King Andreas, seeing how it forces the planters to turn old enemies into allies, and see Sasha become a great leader. To I do think everything with the Ohms was stretched out high, far longer than it needed to be, and was the worst part of this second half of the season. But overall, the second half and everything after and returning to Amphibia was pretty solid. I originally thought the season was so flawed in its concepts, but after seeing Thanks to Them from the Owl House, which is so good, I realized the show messed up the execution. As to why the writers who made so many good things, I mean, they made True Colors, how they messed this up so much, I have no clue. As I previously stated, the show knows when to be emotional, and the biggest thing the season lacked was emotion. Whether the writers were under crunch time or they were trying out something new with the story, sadly, Amphibia Season 3 had been hurt a lot by these flaws. Anyways, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, and what do you think of Amphibia Season 3? Is the human stuff bad? Did you like the rebellion side of the story? And what do you think about my own costume? All that and more, leave in the comments down below. While you're down there, here's a new section of the video, Trivia Time. What is the name of the film Marcy watches in this scene with Asha and Anne where they fall asleep in Season 3? Let me know in the comments down below. If you want to see why True Colors is so great, make sure to check out this video. Subscribe for more videos on Amphibia, The Owl House, and Gravity Falls. Once again, thanks for watching. I've been Fictional Fanatics, and until the next one, bye.